Was this moral? Was it ethical? And was it logical?
It's hard.
Isn't it? It's fun, though.
It's hard for the reasons that we've talked about for every conflict. Is like your 2020 vision. Like, was it logical in 2020 vision? No.
No, not at all.
By like our modern knowledge of the time, we missed so many of the things we should have done.
See, but this is why I fucking love this question, because in 2020, most of war is not going to be moral, ethical, or logical, and that's sort of the point.
It's emotional.
Yeah, oh, totally.
And it's fucking... World War II has that hubris stuff going on, right? Like, Churchill is a warping factor. Eisenhower's a warping factor.
Yeah.
Patton's a warping factor.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It is.
What would I say? I would say I'm not about... Okay, well, here's a caveat to that. Maybe a complication. We were studying this today in the Nuremberg trials. I was kids were like very fucking confused by it, and I got confused by it trying to explain it, because in the Nuremberg trials, one of the big problems is nobody's ever charged a country for how they treated their own civilians before, as a war crime. Isn't that weird? Because no one's ever been like, America, you can't do that to your own people during wartime, you fucking lunatics. You did that to our people. And so I had to explain to them, we were in total war by the end of the war. We were bombing their civilians. They were bombing our civilians. That was all fair game.
I don't know. So when we looked at the Battle of Mogadishu, and that warlord was like keeping food, like the United Nations was sending in food, and the warlord was like sitting on the stockpiles of food, and then like, yeah, then we sent in the Marines, and the Marines were like, we're going to distribute this food for you if you don't fucking do it. So, like, that's close.
It is close, but that's after.
Yeah.
Nothing, as far as I know, global geopolitics, no one has ever tried to try a group of people for how they treated their own civilians during wartime. So, in my mind, World War II is a paradigm shift. And, like, we don't have to fucking do this to each other anymore. Like, we don't have to kill each other for no reason anymore. We're past that, because this is one of the positives of the crazy, barbaric, modern thing that is industrialization, which is terrible in so many ways. But a benefit is we don't have to kill each other anymore. Like, human manpower is not the only power anymore.
Have you been watching a lot of Star Trek?
No, I should. I love Star Trek.
Me too. It's always cool to see Captain Picard talk about like how just ancient and barbaric war is.
It is.
Yeah.
And especially before industrialization, because that's the manpower. That's who builds your stuff. That's who kills your people.
Yeah.
And so if you take out the manpower, you take out their power. But after industrialization, that's not really true, right?
Yeah. So I guess one of the cool things that we've learned from this story is we're better than this. We don't have to do this anymore.
So what's your take on moral, ethical, logical?
Like, I think that's no, absolutely none. I don't think it's ethical in any way, shape, or form when you have these men sitting here and saying this is fucking suicide and you got barely anybody coming back. Logical. I don't see out of all of the three of those, moral, ethical, logical, I think logical probably would be that would win out of all of them, because in their minds they were like, let's just bomb the oil fields and then they won't have any oil. Let's just bomb the factories. So I see the logic. I don't see the ethics. I don't necessarily see the morals when they knew for a fact that fucking civilians were going to die.
That's so weird.
Morally, it's fucked.
Because I feel like logically, that's where I have the hardest time with.
Okay, interesting.
So what would you have done? I was trying to think about it though. Like, okay, in the moment you're leading, what would you have done differently?
Like I'm leading the United States.
Yeah, you're leading the 8th. You're Spats, right?
Fuck.
Or Hap Arnold. Because in my mind, what I kept running into. And I could be wrong on this, like, what if game, but my what if game that I played like a couple weeks ago in my head was I'm Spats or Hap Arnold. I see the casualty loss and then I back off because of like, the fuck is this? Like, let's get better intelligence about what we're doing. And then in my what if, because I showed weakness, Churchill just takes my Air Force.
Okay, so My answer is I really liked when Eisenhower
Mm-hmm.
during D-Day used the air support to support ground troops.
Yeah.
And that's when they were really successful.
That's
so
true.
I think if the Air Force was completely dependent on what was happening on the ground, they're like, we need air support here, it would have been quicker.
So you wanted some like pre-modern like air support, like Vietnam Yadring stuff.
Yes. I think.
But what about the Luftwaffe? Because that Miller,
Hitler, they didn't know this, but Hitler wasn't putting his eggs in that basket anyway.
right?
So,
But Gallen's out at D-Day ish, but like he's weakened. What would I'm just trying to think like, would Gallen have let you do that if you didn't already hit his plants? And would Churchill have let you get to D-Day before taking over your force?
yeah, it's a good question. I just, as far as my mind is
that's where you'd
concerned, I would be more apt to support the ground troops rather than like, let's drop bombs on these the pens, the submarine pens that are just bouncing off these concrete.
And you're
things.
saying like by D-Day. So if you took over at D-Day, Spatz retires, you take his spot. D-Day happens. You're not suddenly hitting those cities with the trains.
I don't think so.
You're fucking just trying to work on your front line.
Because I think that it's not. I don't think as many people would die.
Okay.
In the Air Force, the Army Air Corps. I don't think
we're
probably
as much. Both against bombing of Dresden.
Anti-Dresden bombing, yeah.
Like I love bombing. Slaughterhouse 5. But like
not worth all the death.
Is it worth it?
Yeah. I think that I guarantee you that sorry, what's his name? Who
Vonnegut?
wrote I guarantee you Kurt was like, I'm sad that I had to profit from this. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm pretty sure he said that.
Yeah,
like it's sad to me that I profited from this book about war that I made a lot of money on.
Yeah, his intro is hilarious to that book because he's like talking with his buddy, he's trying to like recount it, and the guy's wife just gets really mad, and he like ends the intro like she's right, and then he starts the book.
There you go.
Like,
yeah.
Yep, you're Child Crusade or something is what he called it. It's really good.